thank you for joining me for this tutorial. I'm going to be teaching you how to draw this French Bulldog from start to finish in graphite pencils. I'll pop a list of my recommended materials in the description of this video for you, just so that you know what you'll need to get started. If this happens to be the first video of mine that you've come across, then I'll introduce myself. Catherine, I'm from South Wales in the UK, and I've been drawing people's pets now for over 4 years, which is absolutely crazy to me still. I'm so grateful that I get to call this my job. And so far on my YouTube channel, all of my tutorials have been completed in coloured pencils. However, I've had a couple of messages requesting tutorials in graphite pencil as well. So I thought we'll start off with this French Bulldog, and then I'll do some more like focused tutorials, sort of like I have done in coloured pencils already. So if you're interested in these types of videos and tutorials, then make sure you're subscribed to my channel to see these, and then also the next few parts to this drawing. So as you can see, I've already drawn out the main outline for this French Bulldog. And all I'm doing now is just erasing the grid for the first section that we're going to be working on. So we're just going to start with his body. I've used the grid method to draw out his outline, as you can see. I have got a video of that on my channel of sort of how to do it. I'm drawing this French Bulldog. His name is Hugo. He's on a 6x6 inch square. And I just drew my grid into 1/2 inch squares. So we've got 12 squares across the top, 12 squares down the bottom, or down the side, sorry. I only drew the squares lightly, just so that they're easy to rub out. Yeah, we're just going to start with, oops, I need to stop that moving. Just going to start with this section here. So I thought we'd start with the body for this tutorial, because I like to work from left to right, mostly with my drawings, especially with graphite pencil, because I'm right-handed, so it just means that as I'm working across the drawing, it means that my hand isn't smudging any of what I've already done. And also I thought that this would be a good sort of practice area before we start on the face, which is like the most important part of the drawing. Obviously it's a bit more challenging. But we can just sort of get used to the graphite pencils, see what works, and start with the body. So I wasn't going to draw it in, as you can see the reference photo, he's wearing a harness. I was just going to leave that out of the drawing, but you're welcome to draw it in if you like. To start with, I'm going to use a 4B pencil. I just want to get this little shape in here, which is where his leg is starting. You can see where the shadow is, and just under there I'm literally just going to draw over this line. Using like a medium sort of pressure. I don't want to press too hard because I still want it to blend in later, but it can be pretty dark. Literally just like shading it in. I was going to say colouring it in, then I'm used to doing the coloured pencil tutorials. Can blend it out a little bit. So I have sharpened my pencils before starting, but I'm not really using like the sharpest point. I've got my pencil sort of just on the side slightly, just so that it'll blend. I'm going to do the same. So he's got a little wrinkle sort of around here, so I'm just going to draw that in too. You just want to be looking for any sort of shapes that you can see to start with, so it'll just help for later on. Otherwise, if you're just shading the whole thing straight away, you'll sort of lose like the right sort of proportions of where everything is, if that makes sense. So all of the darkest parts that I can see, I'm literally just going over them with this 4B pencil. I've chosen the 4B because it's like a middle, it's a good middle shade, I think. It's not too dark, like, 8B, 10B. It's, it's a good middle ground. It'll blend into the lighter colours and also provide a good sort of base for the really dark shadows later. If you know literally nothing about graphite pencils, they've got different letters and numbers, and that determines how like hard or soft the pencil is. So you've got HB, which is in the middle, and that's like just your standard pencil, like the cheap ones that you buy from the shop, and that is literally the middle. So if the pencils have a H next to them, it means that they've got quite a hard lead, and it'll make really like fine thin lines, and then if it's got a B next to it, it's a lot softer and darker as well. So all the pencils that I use for my graphite pencil drawings are Bs, and then the higher the number you go, the darker the pencil is. So 2B is not that dark, 3B is a bit darker, 4B is darker again, and so on. Just doing little circle strokes here so it'll blend out. I've got another wrinkle about here, so I'm just drawing that line. I feel like there's so many different ways that you can do things with graphite pencil, and it's the same with colour. So this is just how I work. If you find another way works better for you, then go for it. But this is how I do it, and it's worked for me. Honestly, I find graphite pencil, I think, harder sometimes than colour, but I think it's just down to practice, really. Especially with like the tutorials that I'm doing. Like, obviously I've had a lot more practice doing coloured pencil tutorials now than graphite, because this is my first one. But yeah, I think graphite is good for beginners. Like, if you haven't tried coloured pencils yet, I think most people do start with graphite, just because it feels a lot safer, and like you're not having to worry about getting realistic colour. You're literally just worrying about whether something's dark or light, and then trying to get the right sort of texture as well. When I first started practicing drawing, before I bought any coloured pencils at all, I was practicing in graphite pencil, just to see like whether I could do it or not, before I spent a lot of money on colour, because I had like obviously just cheap graphite pencils from like art sets and things. So I'm just leaving this light section of fur that Hugo's got on his chest, just going around it. I have to apologise as well. I feel like every time I sit down to do like a real-time sort of tutorial like this, I've got a cold. Promise I don't always have a cold, but I swear it feels like literally every time I sit down I've got like a really sniffly cold, which is really just a nightmare, to be honest. Just all of the shapes literally just go around them, what you can see. And like I said, all of the darker bits, draw those in. And this little bit by here. Just trying to blend it out a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna use now 2B. This is a different one. So I always used to use these and graphic pencils, and then I fancied trying something a bit different, and I bought these Faber-Castell, I think it's 9000 series pencils. I only bought a few of them just to try them. I really liked them. I used them for the first time the other day for a commission, and I really got on with them. But for some reason I didn't buy a 2B, even though I use 2B all the time. So I'm just using my and pencil for this. Now I'm gonna follow the direction that the fur is going, and I'm literally just want to shade it in. And I'm gonna do this for his whole body pretty much. If there are any areas that you can see that are a little bit darker, like around here, you can see there's like a highlight where the top of the wrinkle is, and then it's a bit darker just behind it. Then you can press a little bit harder there with your 2B pencil. Just going to draw a line down here, just for the edge of the drawing. So trying not to get my hand in the way. If you start to lose any of the darker bits that you've just drawn in, you can just go over them again with the 2B. Up here, I'm just pressing a little harder, just where it goes behind his leg. obviously in the reference photo where his harness is, it's a lot darker underneath because there's like a shadow. But because I'm not drawing in his harness, I'm not going to be including those little shadows. So I'm just literally just trying to take it out from the drawing completely. It's got a little darker bit here. This is literally the easy bit, so we're not worrying about any details, nothing. Literally just looking where it's light and where it's dark, and then just pressing a little bit harder depending. Just going to go around this wrinkle. Like I said, just follow the direction of the fur. Because it's the base layer, it's not super important. You know, if you go the wrong way by accident, it's not the end of the world. But by going sort of the same way for the whole base layer, it will help you later on. It's quite strange doing a tutorial for this, like I'm not used to it. I'm not used to thinking about what I'm doing with graphite pencil, and to be honest I haven't done a graphite drawing for ages. Like I said, I did one the other day, but before that I hadn't done one for maybe like 6 months, and then before that it was like another 6 months. It's just because most of the commissions I get are coloured pencil, so it's just what I spend most of my time doing. So you can see with this wrinkle, like with the, when we were following the fur direction here, we were going horizontal, whereas on this part you can see it's like starting to move down this way. So that's just what I'm doing with my pencil. I'm gonna go back with my 4B now. and all of the dark bits that we've done earlier, I'm just going to press a bit harder, and I'm also going to go over some of the darker bits that we've done just with 2B, and then we're going to start to blend it and then probably start adding the detail then. So I can see at the top here there's a bit of a shadow. If you can see like a shadow bit that you've sort of missed earlier, then don't worry about it. Just go over it again now. You might have to press a little bit harder, but it's not a problem. And also, like, some bits sometimes don't look that dark until you've sort of drawn around it, and then you realise that, oh, it does need to be darker. Should have thought this through really, because now I can't hold the bottom of my paper because I've drawn on it. Well, we live and we learn, don't we? Thought this would be a good little tutorial to do, because I think he's got like obviously quite wrinkly fur for a French Bulldog. That's quite hard to do, and also it's just, I've got a really good reference photo. It's really clear, so that'll be really helpful. Similarly to coloured pencils, it really is just all about layering, but obviously it's just a different sort of process, because we're not layering different colours, we're just layering pencil on top of pencil. Now, I know it looks messy right now, but we're just gonna trust the process. Just like I say with coloured pencils, it might look a bit ugly, but I promise you it's all gonna come together. Just gotta take my word for it. I'm still just going over any wrinkles where they're a little bit darker. Just anything I can see. The next step we're going to do might feel a little bit redundant, because what we're going to do is literally like blur it all together. But I find if I sort of work this way, when I blend it together, it helps me see more easily like what areas need to be a bit darker, and then it also just gives a nice smooth sort of base to start adding the detail then. So to blend, this might sound a bit strange, but I literally just use a tissue. So it's just a tissue from a pack, and then I've just folded it a few times. I've like ripped it in half so it's a bit smaller, and then folded it so I've got a little edge like that I can blend with. And then I'm literally just gonna blend over it like this. And then you can see it's all starting to smooth out, and all like the sort of graininess starts to go. I still want to mostly follow the direction of the fur doing this as well. So to blend, you can use a tissue. This is what I've always done. Or you can use a blending stump if you've got one, or like those little cotton wool buds you can use. Personally, just the thought of a blending stump right now is going through me. I can't use them at all. I've got goosebumps. They literally, I can't get on with them. The feeling of it, like on the paper, it just absolutely cringes me. So you might get on with them. Obviously lots of artists do use them, but personally I can use a tissue and that's it. This is really good as well for creating sort of an out of focus effect as well. So obviously with Hugo's portrait, I want his face to be sort of centre of attention. I'm still going to be adding detail to his body, but it's not going to be as detailed as his face. So it's good. We might blend it out after adding some detail as well, just some areas. I wish I'd given myself extra paper here so that I can hold it for when I record the next part. I might tape it down to the table or something. Okay, we're looking good. You can see literally just by this little step, I feel like it just transforms the drawing immediately. The good thing about this as well, once you've used it once, obviously you've got this dark pigment on your tissue or your blending stump already. I find this helps for later, because if I wanted to now, I could just put this on, if I get a scrap piece of paper, if I want just like a really smooth bit, I can literally just add pigment that way. Don't do that very often. Most of the time I've got a pencil on my paper because it's like a really light area. Like even this bit here, I didn't put any pencil down, but you can see obviously it looks grey now because I've blended it out using this. Don't worry, like you can see here, I've gone over the line. I'm not concerned. It's all going to be shaded in. Just realised I never went back down to this bit to add more 4B, so I'm going to do that now. So same thing, just with the side of my pencil. I'm just shading in on top just to make it a little bit darker so that it matches this bit that I did. This bit is super, super dark. I've gone up to an 8B pencil in this Faber-Castell range. But then I've also I bought a set of the Faber-Castell, I think they're called Graphite matte pencils, and they're a lot darker. I've got some of them, I think they go up to 12B, but I don't use them very often. Like, I bought them, but I just didn't really get on with them. I know lots of people love them though. Oh, sorry, I'm aware I sound super like bunged up. It's annoying me, so I'm sorry if it's annoying you. I was hoping to record like maybe 2 parts to this tutorial today, but I might just leave it as this and then come back to starting the face next week when hopefully my cold will have gone by then. If it hasn't, I need to sue someone, I think. I was debating whether to include this part. I think I will. I'll use the 2B again. Just need to rub out the grid lines. Yeah, we may as well do his full body in this one bit. Like, in this one video, I mean. So this part here is super dark still, but I just want to make sure I've got sort of differentiation between the two. Because obviously, like I said, I need to make this part a lot darker anyway. So back with the 2B, I'm pressing quite hard. And even though it's dark, you can sort of tell that the fur is going down and out like this. I don't know, you could sort of see it in the reference photo, but you just sort of learn that with like the more drawings that you do, you get used to like the fur direction and things. You can also, if you need to, like I'm sure you would be able to edit the reference photo to make it brighter, and then you'll be able to see which direction the fur is going in the darkest bits. So like I was on about with using the pigment on the tissue for this bit here, I'm going to do the same here. It's quite light. I'm just going to leave it with no pencil on. And I think what we'll do probably is use an eraser to bring out those lighter fairs on top. That's the good thing about graphite pencil compared to colour pencil, is you can add light on top of dark. Whereas in coloured pencil you can't really do that. You've got to make sure you work light to dark, which I do kind of do with graphite pencil as well, but obviously for little bits like this you can add the light on top. It's just losing the edge of my dark bit there, so I'm just doing little flicky up and down motions with my pencil there, just to make sure that I don't lose that shape. And do the same just on this side. Just doing the same as we did earlier, just going over the little shapes that you can see. And I'll just use the 2B just to cover it. Pressing a little bit lighter here because this part is lighter than the bit below. I'll do the same with my 4V again, just to differentiate the different sections. Just using my 4B for this little dark bit here. It's like a little triangle. And then 2B. Okay, I'm going to blend these bits now. So I'll do the lighter one first. The reason I'm doing the lighter parts first is so that I've got more pigment then on my tissue for the darker bits, so it blends a lot darker. And obviously it's the same with your pencils, like the harder you press, then the sort of darker and more kind of blended it's going to be. So make sure that everything is covered. Yeah, I think I'll use 5B now. It's just a little bit darker than 4B. I have sharpened my pencil's not super sharp, but sharp enough to get different like fur details in. So French Bulldog, he's got really short, sort of spiky-ish fur. So we're just we want to follow the main direction of the fur. We're going to be pressing harder where the shadows are and lighter where the highlights are. Now, we don't want our fur strokes now to be really sort of uniform. Like, obviously we want them to follow the main direction of the fur, but you have to have like the odd one going in a slightly different direction, because otherwise it'll just look like you've drawn lines. Like, you really need to focus just on the texture. So where I say follow the direction of the fur, it's just mostly. So I hope that makes sense. Forget my piece of paper again, I can sort of show you what I'm doing a bit better. So I'm using like a light pressure, and then I'm going hard in the middle and then light again at the end. So sort of like that. And then where it goes light at the end, it's like the fur is flicking up. And then what I mean by following the main direction but not all in a line is you don't want your fur strokes to look like this. You want to sort of flick them off, go up and down with some of them as well, and just, you can overlap them so you can see they're all going this way, but you've got the odd ones going in slightly different directions. So I hope that makes a bit more sense. I feel like it's hard to see on the actual drawing. But all of the sort of fur strokes that are a bit darker. I'm still not using a super hard pressure. I find with my graphite pencil drawings, I don't like to press too hard because then it's harder to blend them together. So I like to use a medium to light pressure sort of the whole time basically. When it gets to like the eyes and the nose where we're putting in a lot more sort of detail, then I'll press harder then because it won't be blended out so much. But for this part, I don't like to press too hard. you don't want your pencil strokes to be too long either, because obviously, like I said, he's got short first strokes. So, well, he's got short first, so you want to make sure that your pencil strokes are short. That's what I meant to say. I feel like it really is just a case of going over just like the same thing over and over, but that's how you're going to get sort of the darkest bits and all of your detailing. So I feel like I don't know if there's really much I can say at this point. Because everything we did at the start, we're literally just going over it now. Once we get to the face, it'll be a bit more intricate. But that's why I wanted to do this part first, because I feel like it'll be easier to sort of ease you into graphite pencil if you haven't used it before, or if it's your first time doing like a full drawing. Then you can get used to sort of how the pencils work with each other and things. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. If you can hear panting, it's my dog. It's not me. He's so loud. Okay, now that's done, I am going to blend it out once again. Just pressing quite lightly. I still want to sort of keep the fur details that we've done. We can add more in later, but we'll keep most of them. Sorry, I know my hand is covering what I'm doing for some bits, but I can't do it any other way. I sometimes use a black coloured pencil for my graphite drawings as well, so especially with a black dog. I do all the like base and everything with graphite pencil, but then some of the really dark shadow areas, then I go in with a black coloured pencil, and that works really well. But for this one I'll just keep it as graphite pencil. Okay, it is looking good. I just need to make this bit under his chin really dark now, so I'm going to use the darkest one I've got from the Faber-Castell 9000 series, which is the 8B pencil. So just use whatever one you've got. You could use 6B, 7B, 8B, 10B, whatever. Just rub it out where my hand had smudged onto the page. The only thing I don't like about graphite pencil is it smudges. Like, it's all on my hand. I'm just going to put this piece, just got a piece of tracing paper just under my hand while I'm working on it, because it's going all over his face. It's just when you blend the pencils, it goes a lot lighter. So you're having to go back in and darken it again every time. we might find later on that we've got to go in and make some bits of her body darker, like once, so obviously her eyes and the nostrils are super dark, you know, the darkest they can be, so we might have to come back and make bits darker, but that's fine. As long as it's mostly done for this part of the video, I'm happy. I'm happy with this now. It's really sort of starting to come together. I'm going to blend a little bit more of this part here, because I think I've done it quite harsh. So just blend it out slightly. Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm quite happy with that now. I can see a little dark bit right at the top here that I haven't done. So this really light bit that I was on about here, adding it in with an eraser later, I've got this little one. It's called the Mono Zero eraser, and it's just like a little pencil, and then you can push it out to get the top of the rubber out. I'm just going to use that, the same as the pencil strokes we were doing earlier, like the little flicky motions. I'm just going to do that here for these highlights. As you can see, the pencil is coming straight off. I'm trying to use the sort of edge to get a sharper point. Just going to do a little bit here as well. Blend this little bit. Okay. this little part here, I think. So this bit is light on top, and then I think the bottom just needs to be a bit darker. I'll use the 4B pencil, just shade it in. I find the more you look at the reference photo, you could just keep adding and adding. But I do have to stop at some point. So I think we'll stop there. So that's his body done. So you can see I made a bit of a mess on his face, but that's fine. We can sort that out later on. I think, like I said earlier, obviously I was planning on filming another part of this video today, but because I'm all bunged up, I think I'm going to leave that to another day. So just make sure that you're subscribed to my channel to make sure that you see the next part, and then we can draw this full French Bulldog together. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next part.